I bet you all thought that we had forgotten about impacting life 24/7. But let me tell y'all something. It ain't nothing but impact going on tonight, baby. CL King coming to you live from the High Definition Studios right here in Impactville. And it is so good to be able to close out the week with an absolute monstrosity of a world changer. We have in our virtual studios the man, the myth, and definitely the legend, our good friend Donell Bryant. He is no stranger to the impact community. And so Donell Bryant was born and raised right in New Bern, North Carolina. And he's married to his lovely bride. They have 5 children and 5 grandkids. 2 more, and you'll catch me, brother. 2 more. He's been cutting hair for over 38 years and has been in the professional industry for 26 years. He's been the owner of Elite Barbershop Studio for 15 years and the lead educator and director of Craven Community College Barbering Concepts for 10 years. He is a certified hair loss expert. Did y'all hear that? I said expert. And he is the owner of Elite Scalp Micro Studio and Scalp Micropigmentation Practitioner. That's what he's been doing for the last 2 years. Here's what I want to tell you. I can't bring nobody on here that's just sitting around doing nothing. Last night, late it wasn't the midnight hour, but it was late. I said, I need to ask Brother Dino a question. And I said, you know what? My wife said, you don't need to be messaging nobody this late. I said, he is an entrepreneur. He a business owner. He up with me. And sure enough, when I messaged him, he was right up there making stuff happen. And so I want you guys to strap in tonight because we're going to talk about, in particular, this man's amazing journey, nearly 4 decades of perfecting a craft. Now, I talked to y'all about this not too long ago. I said that you cannot shy away from mastery. You gotta master your craft. Don't just tiptoe at it, because if you master it, then you help others perfect their craft. And we are delighted to have in these virtual studios the great Donell Bryant. And I want you to know this, that if you're wondering how to do it, you're about to find out. Welcome to the studio, Doctor. Good to see you, brother.
Man, I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here, man. It's an honor.
Yeah, it's always good for us to connect, man. And you know, we said in the pre-show, our pre-show was about 20 seconds because it's storming, it's raining cats and buckets there in New Bern where he is. But we said, hey, listen, do you know that me and you graduated the same year? What year was that, Dino?
93, class of 93.
Y'all better represent. Y'all better recognize, yo. That's how people in 93 get stuff done, ain't it?
That's it.
Yeah. So anyway, I know you got a busy schedule. He was dealing with students right before he came to the virtual studios here, and so we're going to try to get you in and out back to what you do best, and that's impacting lives. So how can people contact you? What's the best way for them to contact you? You want to give your addresses out and your website, or however you want to do it? Give us where people can get up with you.
All right, on Facebook, they can get up with me through Donell Bryant. That's Donell Bryant. On my Instagram, that's Dino the Barber 728. TikTok, that guy Dino.
TikTok, that guy Dino. Now, what about if somebody wants to come get a cut? Where do they go?
Actually, they can come to Elite Barber Studio. Again, through my social media, they will be able to connect, make appointments. So you can go to Elite Barber Studio website or Elite Scout Micro, either or websites, and it'll lead you to the Lincoln book part, and then you can be able to, plug in.
Yeah, plug in and make an appointment. So let's just cover that real quick, because has that changed quite a bit in your industry where you do less walk-ins and you try to do more appointments?
Actually, for the last about 10 years, I have been doing appointments.
Really?
So yeah. So once it did hinder a lot of barber businesses. But for my case, it didn't bother me at all because I was already doing appointments. I already had that in place. So once this happened with the whole, COVID situation and the protocols that we had to do, my shop, we fell right in line. We was already on point.
You was already there. See, you seen it. That's called visionary, man. So I really appreciate that. So you can go and you can connect with him in all of his social media platforms. A man that has taken something that was a passion and now he's using it to literally change an entire region. What's up, Greg? Greg says he's in the class of 82. That was back when they had horse and buggies. So I don't know about no 80. I don't know about no class of 82. You know Greg Smith, right?
Yeah, my man. That's my man. That's my man.
I told him he wants to be a stone chisel guy, so we'll let him still hang with the young folks. Anyway, thank you, VP, for putting yourself in the chat and hanging with us. And so we're honored to have in our virtual studios Donell Bryant. He's the founder, CEO. What did you say? The guy that does it all and makes it all happen of Elite Barbers, and he's also the founder and leader there at the Scalp Micropigmentation Practitioner and the Elite Scalp Micro Studio. And so I want you guys to understand that we're gonna dive into some interesting things about what Dino has done. But when did you get into and tell us your background about barbering? I know you've been in it a long time. Give us kind of a background of how you got in the industry.
Yeah, as I was a young kid, man, it was 10 years old. I was 10 years old, and my mom took me to the barbershop, which we had a neighborhood lady that had a barbershop in her home. And my mom took me and my little brothers there. And this particular day, I just asked her name was Miss Sudi, God bless her soul. I had asked Miss Sudi, I said, what would it take to be a barber? And the first words out of her mouth was, barbering is an art. Everything she said behind that, I couldn't tell you what it was because I was already into art. I was very big into art as young, and I was always doodling and drawing. So when she said that, my mind went straight to, okay, so I can take this tool that she cutting hair with and draw in people's head. And from that point, I got home that particular afternoon, after we left the barbershop, I got this tool that I saw my dad had for years sitting around, and I just kept messing with it from now on there, time to time. And I cut one of my little brother's hair. I started just drawing lines in his head. And from that day, it just took off from there because, the kids in the neighborhood saw my little brothers with the lines. So now they want lines in their head. And it went from lines to arrows to initials. And this was back 85 in that area when, all the flat tops and all this was, really starting to, get very popular.
What did Big Daddy Kane say? You can scalp my cameo and I'll still have strength, right?
Yeah, I still have strength.
Did you put some cameos out there, brother?
That's my favorite rapper of all times right there, Big Daddy Kane.
See, I told y'all this is why I needed to have him on the show. We got the definite vibe and connection. We are joined in the virtual studios here with Donell Bryant, and what a tremendous friend, a friend to Impact Life 24/7. Greg knows him as Mr. Newbern. He's also the founder and CEO of Elite Barbers Barbershop there in New Bern. He's got a couple locations, and also he's expanded into the Scalp Micro Pigmentation practice, and so that's going to be a really interesting discussion. But let's ask this: this is a question that I thought was pretty interesting when I put it together. But how do you, because we talk about Big Daddy Kane in 85, remember the Gumbies, they was the sponsor. How do you stay current, brother? What is it? Obviously the schooling piece and all that, but how do you make sure that you're a current barber with the various trends that are going on?
Professional development is one of my biggest pet peeves. I stay educating myself. I stay going to shows. I stay traveling, being able to connect with, the younger barbers that's doing a lot of things out in the industry. And that's what keep my fire burning, man. Just, keep right on learning. As the industry grow, I got to grow with it, especially being an educator, because you got some of these young barbers that come in and they want to know the hottest, designs, or they want to know the latest trends when it comes to, color and cutting and things of that nature. So in order for, me to be the most effective educator, I have to be effective with my learning and staying on top of it.
Man, that's powerful, man. And you know, I take that same approach because you know I'm not a barber. In fact, all I do is just cut all my hair off every other week. So that's all I do. And you know what? I was thinking about your specialty with the micro scalp piece. I said, man, I've been blessed to hang on to all of my hair. So I just when it gets too long, I just cut it all off. But one of
That's
the
a
things,
blessing.
it is a blessing, man. So when we talk about techniques and we talk about you know, challenges with haircuts. What you know would you describe as a challenging haircut styling situation that you've encountered over the last 38 years and what you did to overcome it?
Well, I have had actually it was Kevin Reddick. He's a former NFL player
Okay.
from here in New Bern. When he was in college at UNC, he had came home at one point. He actually called me up one day and was saying that he wanted to get this design in his head. And it was a design that I had never done before, but I knew he was expecting because I think it was this big, I think it was might have been a homecoming or something like that. And he told me he wanted the UNC Ram in the back of his head and he wanted the Ram color. So that right there, the moment that he asked that, I just started doing research, not really so much as doing research. I found the right logo with the right lines and the right detail that I would be able to make it happen with hair. And with doing that, I was able to deliver and give him just what he wanted. And that was I think one of the most challenging haircuts that, like I say, that came to my mind. And you asked that question, that was one of the most challenging ones that I did. But again, it was a big impact when he went back to school. Some of the guys that's pros today, they were sweating that cut.
they said, yo, put us on to where you got that cut from, right?
Yeah, so I started drawing, you know, like I said, when I knew what it was, when I found the right design that I was going to do, I started practicing. You asked, you know, how did I overcome it? And that was the way I started practicing the lines and the, you know, the bends in the hair as I was drawing it on paper. I was already envisioning it of how I was going to do it with the clipper. And it all came together.
Now, this is not on the question list, but when a barber develops a clientele, I guess he starts to understand, especially if they're just kind of basic haircuts, right? You know, you got what you want. I want 3 inches off, or I want whatever the case may be. And those folks are usually the ones that come back every week for kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But you know, in variations, you know, of customers, do you find that you got to be kind of aware of the person's, you know, genetics to make sure that you're not applying one hard, fast rule to a head that may not work for them?
You're exactly right. And that comes with being able to understand the different textures. Once you understand the different textures of hair, that changes the game. That helps you understand some people growth is different than others. You have people that have 2 and 3 different, what we would call the cowlicks in the front of the head.
Yeah.
You have some clients that may have what they call the swirl or the whirl in the back of the head. They might have 3 or 4 or 5 of those. So the initial thing that we have to do to understand that hair is to be able to do a hair and scalp analysis. And that's before the haircut. That's after the consultation, you do the hair and scalp analysis. That's how you're going to be able to find out the direction the hair grows and the texture of the hair to let you know what tool is going to be the most effective tool to be able to approach that cut.
You know, that would be a really cool thing if we could do, because you know, Greg, we have went to 9 Limb Strikers. You got to go look up that video somewhere on YouTube, Dino. We went to 9 Limb Strikers and we trained with one of the boxing coaches there, Greg and I.
Okay.
And it was an absolute it was hilarious to say the least, right? But what we should do next, Greg, to promote Elite Studios is me and Greg should come down there with our whole film crew, and you should coach me in cutting Greg's hair. Wouldn't that be dope?
That'll be dope. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Hey, Greg, are you in for that, bro? I want to get you into the barber chair and hook that, because you know Greg puts juices and berries in his hair. You know, like from coming to America. So he said, "Oh, it ain't nothing but old superb."
But look, I'll be more than glad. But the best thing about it is, he will not walk out of there disappointed. That's the best thing about it, because I got your back. I got your back.
He says, "Oh, Hades, no." Well, look, I would be willing, because see, I believe in the coach. I believe in the teacher,
There
right?
you go.
And now let me ask you this. This isn't on the list either.
Okay.
Let's talk about this. Think about it from a perspective of, some people reach out to me and they say, "Hey man, can you teach me how to be a speaker?" Right? I feel like speaking is an art. Yeah, there's fundamentals, right? You know, and all that. But it's an art form to connect the spoken word and make it move humanity. So there are some people that may just not have the gift. Now, in your industry, do you feel like you could take somebody, you know, with little to no skill and get them up to par to be successful?
I'm doing it basically every 4 months. I do that. That's what I do. And I did want to say, when you just said that about speaking as art, I don't know if you recall, but it was years ago that you had spoken at I think it was a group at Miss man. She had the Food Palace,
Barber Lee.
Miss Barber Lee, yeah. The program that she had with the young kids. And I was there doing, you know, some mentorship there. And you came in, man. That was the very first time I met you. And hearing you speak then, I think was something that triggered in me to be what I am today, is starting to be a public speaker, is speaking out in public. Because I mean, I think it was the drive you had, man. It was the excitement that you was bringing when you were speaking. I'm like, man, I never heard nobody speaking like this. And I mean, this was like before all the podcasts and all this stuff on the internet. This was before all of that.
Right.
So that right there, man, was powerful. Like you say, with understanding it was an art. But with barbering, I have students that come in and they've never in their life touched clippers. And my thing is, if you're willing to learn, I'm willing to teach.
Wow.
And that's where I can see it. And like I said, I have a young lady right now. She's like my #1 protege, man. Love her to death. Her name is Miss B. She's at my shop, Elite Barber Studio on Martin Luther King. But she was one that came in. She was very shy, very quiet. She came in, didn't know anything about clippers, haircutting, or nothing. But she wanted to learn, and I was ready to pour into her. And as I started to pour into Miss D, she became a nice, you know, barber at first. And once she got out of school, I just seen how she was talking to the clients and, you know, how she would deliver. And I'm like, man, she would be a good educator, because the way she break things down to her clients to help them understand a situation that they might have in her chair, dealing with the hair. I was, like I say, I was real enthused by how she always spoke. So I asked her, would you mind being an educator? She was like, nah, that ain't for me. She said she was too shy. So what I did was I challenged her and I took her out to Atlanta. And that's like the biggest hair show in the world.
Right.
And I took her out to Atlanta. She got up in the competition with 24 men. She was the only female. And she had to speak in front of like 20,000 people. I mean, she had to cut in front of like 20,000 people. And she did her thing in that competition. But after that competition, she came back and she let me know, I'm ready to be an educator now. So I hired her on last August as an educator out at Craven.
Man, that's what I'm talking about, man. You know what? You know, don't be making me cry on my own show, brother. I
cry with you, man.
That's called impacting life, brother. That's called impacting life.
I'm forever grateful, man.
And you know, it's listen to how he told that story, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody, he saw the potential in them, and he didn't just let them live in their potential, but he helped them to manifest their potential. See, Usain Bolt's got plenty of potential, but it's only until he puts one foot in front of the other does that really manifest, right? And we got to be able to do that. This is one thing that I've been on a quest to with you, along with your work like that, is to let people know, hey man, just because you feel like you're inferior or maybe you can't be in the big leagues, you certainly can. You don't have to take second place to nobody.
You're right.
So, man, that's powerful. And you know, Greg, if times get tough, me and you can go get a job. So, for real.
Look, and don't think you're never too old to be able to cut hair. I just had it's been a couple years now, but he was 77 years old that just finished. He was the oldest barber in the state of North Carolina as a student. And he graduated, and his dying declaration was he wanted to get his barber license. He had been cutting hair since 1949, and he was in the Navy, and he was cutting on the ships, but he always wanted his license. So he came out, he got his license, and again, he's doing his thing now, and he rides around and check out he's 79 now, but he rides around and check out all the students that was in his class at that time, from Jacksonville, Swansboro, Havelock, New Bern. And again, that's what it's all about, man. So if it's something you want to do, or you feel you have an urge to do, don't count it out.
That's what I'm saying. See, that it's never too late, ladies and gentlemen. I had a gentleman on the show. What is tonight? Tonight is Thursday. So I had a gentleman on the show Tuesday night, and Greg, you remember him, Dr. Mitch. He had been teaching for over 20 years, and then he decided he needed to pivot into life coaching. And he's like, man, here I am at 50 years old, and I'm changing careers. But that's okay, man. If it's a passion, if it's a dream of yours, if it's something that you love, something that you want to pursue, this is what you need to do. And if you're out there now and you're like, man, I want to go to the next level in barbering, I want to go to the next step. Obviously, we put somebody in front of you tonight that you can connect with, Mr. Donell Bryant. You know, he's the doctor of the Clippers. He does his thing, but not only that, now he's empowering other people to do it. See, that's one of the things why I started doing workshops, and some of them I do them for free because I'm like, I don't want it to die with me. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, CL, you was great, but I didn't empower nobody else. You know, I inspired a bunch of people, but I didn't equip anybody else to go out and keep this thing moving. So if you want to go to that next level, just reach out to our good friend Donell Bryant. He is the founder and CEO there at Elite Barber Studios. He's been there for 15 years, been barbering for 38 years, been in the professional industry for 26 years, and the lead barbering instructor there at Craven Community College. Imagine that, man, all of those accolades. But now let's go, because I've had somebody on, Greg, we had a cosmetologist on years ago. So is the trek for cosmetology and barbering the same?
Nowadays, it's almost identical. The only thing that is different, and especially for my program, we don't just teach the fact of barbering. We teach cosmetology as well. So we do everything cosmetology do except pedicures. Okay. So other than that, we do everything from the color to roller sets to perms, your relaxers, whatever it is.
You gotta know some science there, don't you?
Yeah, it's a lot of chemistry and science behind it, especially when it comes to dealing with those chemicals. You just think about the Jerry curl. That's what we would call the permanent wave rod. You must understand the chemical process with that to be able to make that deliver, right on the client. So it's in some very dangerous chemicals that you're working with.
Did I tell you? I know we've talked a couple times on the show, but did I tell you about my Dark and Lovely wave kit back in like 80s?
Nah, man.
Billy D. Williams, right? The Billy D. Williams Dark and Lovely wave kit. Y'all ain't never heard this story before, have you? Y'all wonder now why I'm so messed up in the head, right? So they said, oh yeah, my mom and sister, they gonna put this Billy D. Williams wave kit in my cranium. And so I go iron some clothes and do some other things, and my hair starts burning, right? I didn't get to the point like in Malcolm X where I had to put my head in the toilet, but they was washing that stuff out, and my hair was like an electric socket when it was finished. And I had to go to school looking like I had just stuck my finger in an outlet. Y'all, you didn't know that, Greg, did you? You did not know that, but I was the guinea pig for the Billy D. Williams wave kit. And so I said all that to say that it's a little more than just going down to People's Beauty Supply and getting you a kit and thinking that you certified, right?
Exactly. It's a lot more to it.
Right. Yeah. So I love and appreciate that you could have mercy on my plight there. How do you approach consultations with people and clients to ensure that you understand their preferences and deliver the desired result? How do you approach your consultations?
Actually, but when I greet and seat my client, first thing I do, I always greet my client and I seat my client. Once I seat my client, I get into the consultation.
Mhm.
And when the client tells me exactly what they want, I ask them, first, what we're going to do today. And they may say, I want a ball fade. I want it midway, midway ball, and I want a number 2 on the top. First thing I do is I turn them to the mirror and I point to the areas of how they're saying it. So if they say they want a mid fade, I'll point to the areas on their head so they can see me. I'm like, so you want a mid fade, you want it bald at the bottom, and you want a number 2 on the top.
Mm-hmm.
I always go behind them and say what they said to me. I run it back to them so we can make sure that we get the confirmation. And that helps me as well as helping the client, because it helps the client relax to understand and know they got me. They know exactly what they said. I know he know because he read it back to me. Other than just sitting and having that client, you start cutting and don't do the consultation. They just say, give me a haircut or fade or whatever. And you just go to cutting. If you never cut that person hair before, they're already in their head thinking, what is they doing? Right. You're not letting them see the mirror. So they already, start having anxieties coming along. But again, when you do the correct consultation, that right there knocks the edge off of you and it knocks the edge off of the client.
Man, that's so good. And Greg, you said something. I'm glad you see. Greg been with me so long. He knows what I'm thinking before I even say it.
That's good.
He said something that I was going to ask you and bring up. Bedside manners is similar. You know what I mean? You get a doctor that just comes in or a practitioner or whatever, and they just kind of go through it and don't really want to hear from you. But you make that extra effort to ensure that you're understanding what your clients want.
Exactly. You make the extra effort to make sure that we understand, and they will continue to make the extra effort to support you.
Yeah, that's so good. Powerful. You're listening to our great friend, Donell Bryant, Mr. Newbern. He is the founder and CEO and chief barber there at Craven Community College and the founder of Elite Barber Studio. But now he also has plunged into an arena that I've been watching. I've been fascinated with it, and I want to pick his brain with it, and that is the micro scalp pigmentation piece. So, talk to us about what stimulated you to get into that. First of all,
the first thing that stimulated me to get into it was that I went bald back in like 2016. All right, I had dreads for like 15 years. Once I cut the dreads off, for about 2 years, I had a nice set of waves going on. And then something up here started acting funny and it started receding. And, I went bald with it. And I really didn't like wearing the bald head, but I had no choice, And so I started kind of looking around at different things, and I went and learned how to do what we call the prosthetic cranial units, where you'll see men that be thin or bald, and I was able to put hair there to make it look like you had a full head of hair.
Right.
With that, I just didn't like the process of how you still was restricting yourself. You couldn't jump in the pool. You couldn't go to the beach and enjoy yourself with your family. You couldn't get in the shower and let water run on your head. So it was like you still was restricting yourself and putting yourself in bondage, but you still look good. You had the look you wanted, but you just couldn't do the activities and things you wanted. So once I started doing some research, I found out about this process. They was doing it in the UK. It wasn't even in the United States yet. And they was doing this thing, and it was similar to tattooing, but they was using a different thing, which was called pigment instead of ink. If you look at a tattoo after time, your skin, what we call the adipose tissue, they start to break down and you lose elasticity in your skin. And the tattoo ink start looking green and start looking blurry, and the tattoo start running together. That's what the tattoo ink would do, because it's going into the deepest layer of your skin. So with scalp micropigmentation, I found out it was a carbon pigment that they was using, and you don't go as deep into the skin. You're just going beneath the epidermis, the top layer of the skin. That pigment sits right beneath, and that pigment gives you a look as if it's replicating your hair follicle. All right. And so what happened was it's been out for years, but like I say, nobody knew what it was. It was like a secret society. So you had guys and like actors, Tyler Perry, Jamie Foxx. You had the actor Jason Statham, Vin Diesel. It always looked like they got a close haircut. It looked like that 5 o'clock shadow. So once I, seen that, And I ran into a guy that was coming in North Carolina. He was from California. He was coming here, so I was able to, link in with him. And I went under him, man, and I got certified. And as soon as I got certified, it was like a couple of weeks later, I went and got the procedure done. And once I got the procedure done myself, I did it because I wanted to be able to explain to my clients the intensity of the pain, the, discomfort, the comfort, I wanted to be able to break it down to my client all the way of having that understanding. So I got the procedure done myself. I saw it, you can kind of see it there. It looked like I got a little shadow of hair,
right?
But it gave me my frame back, and that right there was something that it really gave me a different confidence back. And my thing is always wanting to see that change in people.
Yeah.
And this was something for a lot of men that felt like it was over for them, went bald, or, have to keep a bald head and they don't like it. This was something that now I'm able to do, and it's a permanent procedure. So it changes the game. It gives you that look back. The only thing is you don't have to shave your head bald. You just shave it close. It's something you can maintain at home.
Nice, man. That is so. And how long was the certification for that?
It was a 3-day course, man, and it was pretty intense. It was very intense, 3-day course. Because again, the big advantage that I had was I was a barber. Right. It was others that was in this program, in the class, but they weren't barbers. They might have been dermatologists or estheticians. Right. So what I come to find out later was some of the most experienced practitioners, they was kind of envious of the barbers because they like, the barber can understand the fade. They can do this procedure and make it a fade. They can align somebody's hairline up to a whole nother level. Right. And we took it now, like you say, me and one of my partners, William Stevens, we are the 7th, well, me and him was 6th and 7th that's certified in the state of North Carolina. Really? To do this procedure.
And so Greg says in the chat, because Greg, he's 60, he old. He says, "Pain, I'm out." How would you describe the procedure?
The procedure, honestly, the pain level for me, from a 1 to 10, the pain level got to about 4. Okay. I say a low 4, and that was just in the recession areas. It's skin is kind of thin here. You're right here on the scalp, right. So it was right up in that area. But other than that, honestly, I dozed off. I went to sleep.
Really?
So it's not something that is like a tattoo where you got to sit and just kind of right. The dragging of your skin and all that. You're making thousands and thousands of little dots to replicate your hair follicle. That's what you're doing.
That's amazing. Now, in terms of men's hair color, I mean, do you have to do all that, make sure you match it and all that?
Yes, sir. It's a way you have to make sure, just like with, mixing ink when you're drawing a picture or painting a picture. Right. You have to make sure that the pigments are matching, because it's not just for African American. This is for, all nationalities. So you have to make sure, if I have a Caucasian client that want this service, I got to make sure that I got the right browns or the right orange mixed in with the blacks. And so it's definitely, again, it goes back to a science and chemistry.
I love it, man. Greg, I think we should just go ahead. Listen, I'll fund it, and you can just go ahead and get yourself signed up. Because Greg says, I only got about 2 more years left on this.
Hey, I'm telling you, man, you'll be surprised that some of the older gentlemen out here that's like 60, 70 years old, that has been wearing bald heads, or they've been thin. And it's been, like I say, our image is everything, man. Right. And so as those things, that it's enough that hair may turn gray, but it's another thing when you turn it gray and you're bald. Right. So it's like you're losing out on 2 different spectrums. But if you are able to see that frame of a person's face, it still gives you the youth, look that you had, maybe years ago.
Donell, that's amazing. Donell Bryant of Elite Barber Studio. I know we've gone over a little bit, but I'm just fascinated, man. I said we're going to bring him back to talk about the business piece, because he employs people. You've got how many locations?
I have 2 locations.
He's got 2 locations, and he's an employer in the community, a leader in the community, a voice in the community, and also he has tapped into something that is. Are you the only one doing it in New Bern?
I am. I
See,
am.
that's what I'm saying. You
Yeah,
find
actually, my business here, Elite Scout Micro, was the first one of its kind in Craven County.
Yeah, E-Man Baxter, he's the mayor of Jacksonville. He said, "Beard Elite Therapy. My man Dino is the best this side of heaven." So,
Oh yeah, he's one that he gets his beard therapy treatment like no other. I mean, he stayed consistent with that beard therapy treatment because then that's another service that wasn't really rendered here in this area. So that
right,
was something, again, when I went out and I learned that procedure of being able to do a beard therapy, because most men started growing a beard. That's a big fad right now. You know, the big beards.
yeah,
But not all men knew how to take care of the beard. They can grow it, but they didn't take care of it. So it became brittle, it started breaking off. And I put the service together called Elite Beard Treatment or the Elite Beard Therapy Treatment. It soothes you, man. It's a relaxing procedure, but at the same time, it's just a great experience.
yeah. I'm gonna try to catch E-Man on his beard because the one time me and E-Man went down south and we was eating at a barbecue rib joint. And he had a whole rib stuck in his beard. So
I
I didn't have
believe it.
I didn't have the heart to tell him. I was like, "Yo, E-Man, I mean, come on, bro, do something with that." I'm teasing, but no, love
That's
love
my guy.
y'all love E-Man, man. And so again, if you it's a full service experience that you have really just tapped into. I mean, you know the whole experience there outside of doing pedicures. I mean, you are really taking care of the whole upper echelon of our appearances. And one thing that I will say to you is that we don't, when we look for resources, because we consider this my platform, we consider it a cathedral of resources. There might be somebody listening to this that would download the show and they're like, "Man, I'm really kind of in a bind. I want to fix this look here. I'm losing my hair or whatever." Now you know where to go. It's just that simple. There is a place in North Carolina, Eastern North Carolina, and I happen to be his good friend. He's on the show, Donell Bryant, Elite Barber Studio. So get up with him, and let me ask you just a couple more questions before we go, and I'll let you go.
Yes,
This one is important to me.
Okay.
Because I know being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, it is demanding. It requires, it requires vision, but it requires time and all that. You're raising a family, et cetera, et cetera. But the question is, and I think this is important for other entrepreneurs to hear, that with the physical demands, how do you prioritize your self-care and prevent burnout? Because you've been doing this for 38 years, and preventing yourself from burning out and ensuring that you give your best. How do you do that? How have you done that over the years?
It's still, as of today, honestly, I'm still working on that. It's a thing where we say, work-life balance.
Right.
And that's just what it is. It's work-life balance. Because again, being such a high demand and being so busy with doing things, and that's what I do tell barbers. And I try to have them to have the conversation with their kids and have the conversation with their wives, especially when they finishing up as a student, because the testing and the test that you have to pass is going to take a lot of time, and it's going to take a lot of peace and quiet to be able to retain that information, to go to the state and pass that exam. And once you pass that exam, now you have to figure out, again, the work-life balance. You got to give yourself some grace to be able to do things for you. You got to give yourself grace to do things for your family. You just have to find it. And to be honest with you, CL, man, it got to a point where I almost lost my wife behind my profession. And it was because I was so used to just working. Before my wife came in the picture, I was a single father. And my kids, they grew up in the barbershop. That was a way that I was able to cope and deal with, the bad divorce and the custody battle by escaping into the barbershop and working. And so when, me and my wife got together and all, it was still that I still had that going, that work vibe. It was just all about the barbershop. I would go in the shop and stay from 8 in the morning, come home 8, 9, 10 at night, and wouldn't see them all day, and my wife, I can say, by me having custody of my kids, those weren't my wife, kids, but she would stay, she would have kids, man. And she let me know one day, she said to me straight up, man, I thought everything was good. It was great. And she told me straight up, she said, hey, I don't know how much longer I can take this. I'm like, what you mean? Take what? She was like, this relationship. She said, because honestly, it's like you have 3 wives. And when she said it, I'm like, 3 wives? Nah, you my only wife. Where it's coming from? And she said, you have the barbershop. She said, you have the school. She said, and you have me. She said, and the one that's giving you the most love and the most time is getting the short end of the stick. Man, when she said that to me, man, it hurt me so bad because I thought I was doing everything right by working and, providing. But at QT, that quality time, I was not spending it the way that I should have been. And so I rearranged things, man. I stopped, I closed out certain days on my appointment book. I started leaving the school at, a reasonable time. And now it's like to a point where I was in control of so much so long, CL, whereas I just lost my mother in May. Mm-hmm. And that right there took me away from the school environment. It took me away from the barbershop. It took me away from SMP. And I realized that I am able to be away from these things and life gonna keep going. Yeah. Those clients, they still went and got haircuts from other people. The school stayed going. I had the right instructors there that kept the school going. So it gave me an understanding of saying, you know what, you can start giving up some control now and really own your time. And that's what I'm trying to do, get to a point where I own the majority of my time to do the things that I want to do, because I put in the work that I should have put in years ago to be able to do the things that I want to do now. So it was tough, CL, and I'm still, like I say, I'm still working on it, man. Still working on it.
Man, that was worth staying for 45 minutes, y'all, because that's a truism. And I can attest to that. I can attest to everything that you said.
Yeah, man.
I even have done that. I've done that with our business. We were doing 144 shows. That's 144 shows a year. That's 3 shows a week. But on top of a speaking schedule, that means 3 nights a week I got to be in this chair interviewing somebody, plus all the lead up to it and the post stuff, right? And I started realizing that, hey, look, man, I'm tired of going to the bedroom when my wife's asleep because I've been up being Mr. Interviewer. So I told Greg, I said, number one, we cutting the show down to 30 minutes, and we ain't doing 144 shows a year, right? Yeah, and then he's the gunny. So when he sees that I have tried to stretch myself trying to be Mr. Superhero, he in June, he canceled half of my June schedule. He said, nope, go home. You ain't coming out no more. He called our people, canceled everything. I was just like, ain't I the CEO? He was like, nope, I'm the gunny. You go home.
But that's a friend, man. That's what you call a real friend.
That's my dog.
That's what you call a real friend. And it's sorry that too many of us don't have those people, man. So Mr. Greg, I tell you, he's
one of a kind.
To you, man.
He's one of a kind. I mean, we pay him good too, but he is one of a kind.
I believe it.
But you're right, and that's why that question. And we gotta, when we're teaching this whole, it is a concept of, hey man, you gotta put in the work. And I believe that. I don't believe laying around just chilling. But at the same time, like you said, work. When I work, I give it everything. But then when I'm doing life, I ain't thinking about work.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And that's a great statement. The work-life balance is that when you at work, it's full thrown. I'm all in, elbows deep. But when I pull this clock and I'm going to spend time with mama or the grandbabies, that's what I did today. I said, you know what, baby, I'm just telling you, I'm changing my schedule and we going out, me, you, and the grandbaby. That's exactly what we did. And
ain't that a great feeling, man? That's a great feeling, man. And with my schedule changing from the college, as I started the new program, we stopped doing 1 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night. So now I'm 9 to 5. So getting off at 5 o'clock, my wife gets off at 5 o'clock. So now I get to hang out. We go walking in the afternoons now, riding the bikes in the afternoon. I call my daughter, tell her meet me up at Dairy Queen so my grandbaby and I sit on the back of the truck, swing our legs, and eat ice cream. Yes, so it's those type things, man, that I really cherish, and I want to continue to be here to keep doing those things for a long time without so much work being involved.
Right. And you know, that's the beauty of, you know, recognizing it. That's the thing, brother. Some people have gone to the grave because they felt they could do it. It would only work if they were there. You know what I'm saying? The ship would only float if they were at the helm, and that's not true. A well-oiled machine, a well-oiled ship will float, and it can go down the sea without somebody yelling out commands. You know what I'm saying? So, Dino, you are the man, brother. And man, what a trip. Wasn't that a great interview, Greg? I mean, like, I ain't been on Dino's show yet. I mean, but one day I'm gonna get on there. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna need you to come on over, man.
It ain't nothing but an invite, brother. Just get me on there. That's
enough said.
But I love seeing that you started a podcast. Tell us about the podcast real quick.
Yeah, it's called Dad's Unscripted. And that just came about because one of my clients, we always was talking, man. And it always was like, after the conversation, when he get ready to leave, he was like, I love coming here, man. He says it's like a therapy session every time. And he came back a little while later, you know, and let me know about, you know, the idea. And I told him, I think that'll be a good thing, man. Because again, it's a lot that men deal with as dads, man. And just trying to cope with life and a lot of things that goes on behind the strings that some just don't get. And that's why I felt like being able to, you know, partner up with Brad and to do this, it definitely brings some awareness to individuals like us, man, that really deal with a lot of things and don't know how to approach therapy or don't know how to talk about, you know, certain things of our past childhood traumas, you know. So that was something that was very big, man, that I felt good to, you know, like I say, put out.
Well, you know, as a podcaster, I was really proud to see that, man. I was like, yeah, my man is doing. I was like, yes, let's go.
You're the inspiration. You're the inspiration, man. I'm telling you, man. And I like I said, I appreciate what you're doing, man. From day one, I really appreciated all that you've been doing, man.
Well, Dino, we're gonna work behind the scenes we're gonna trick Greg and say we just doing a tour of Elite Barbers. And you got some Velcro straps. We can just strap him down to the chair and be like, yo, dog. We about to hook you up.
We just getting close. Me and Mr. Greg, look, we just getting close, man. Don't mess us up like that, man. That's my guy.
Yeah, it is, man. So anyway, if you guys want to get up with Donell Bryant, just go. All of his handles that he gave in the beginning, you can find him at Elite Barber Studio there in New Bern, Craven Community College. He really is a genuine man. And, you know, we men sometimes pull the tough card, but, man, transparency is important. And you just spoke to some men, brother, who are out here grinding and think they got to grind themselves to a powder, and you don't. You don't have to do that. So thank you for giving us that word. And I'm going to give you the last 35, 40 seconds to speak a word to all those people out there that are thinking, man, I might want to do this, but I'm not sure what my next move is. Go ahead. Tell them.
You got to think about what you want to do, know what you want to do, and then pursue it. If it's not at this point in life, if it's something that you're doing and you're not getting joy out of it, it's not, you know, becoming a passion. What CL always says, I hear him, and that favorite word is pivot. You might have to pivot. And if you need to pivot, it's okay at this point to pivot and pick up something else, as long as it fulfills you. And that's what you want. We don't want to keep working a job, because if anybody know what a job is, it's just over broke. So let's get a career, something that we can definitely, you know, continue to, you know, bring and build a legacy off of it.
I love it. Just over broke. Greg, man, we did ate some chicken dinners that was just over broke for what we do. So I should have paid him for that payment right there. Anyway, Donell Bryant, man, love and appreciate you, man. Next time I'm in town, maybe I'll try to swing by there or just get up with you. You know, I come to town once a month at the Craven County Jail, and we got some new interesting things coming up. We got a new location that we're opening up that we're getting to go to.
We need to link up. We got to link up.
Yeah,
we got to link up.
Definitely. So thank you so much for all that you're doing. And, you know, anytime, at any place, anytime, call, whatever. If you got something amazing you want to talk about, this show is always open to you. Okay, brother?
Appreciate you.
All right. Talk to you again soon, man. Have a great night.
Likewise.
All right, y'all. That was it. Don't report. I don't know why Zoom asks me, should I, because I ended the show early, or I ended the show myself. It asks me, do you want to report this as a violation? No, I'm the one who ended it. Leave me alone. That's right. Just over broke, Greg. Y'all hear that music in the background? That's my man, Reginald Midget, the maestro. Oh, they may not can hear it. Let's help them out a little bit. Come on, studio. Can my engineers help me? Yeah. Reginald Midget put this track together for us. And it's always blazing when it comes on. And I got all these lights in here. I'm like, man, I got to get a fan because this music is so hot. But thank you. We love and appreciate all the friends that we have at Impactville. And Donell just spoke to us, y'all. I'm looking for some clips probably to use that we're going to put on our reels because he said something throughout that whole interview. And, owning your own business is not easy. Then employing others is even harder. Then trying to have a family and make sure you're making payroll and keeping your family together and not giving it all to the business. Man, he spoke some very, very good words, y'all, and we need to heed that. All of us content creators, entrepreneurs, business owners, we need to heed that there is a thing called work and life. Okay, I don't live to work. You know what I'm saying? I don't live to work. That's not every time the sun comes up and I'm thinking about, hey man, how can I get out of work? No, I'm just playing. No, but truly, we give all of our effort and energy. We put it all in there. And I think you should when you are in work mode. But don't let work bleed over into life. You see what I'm saying? Once we upload everything here and I turn these lights out, I do not think about the studio anymore until the next time I'm supposed to be here. So love and appreciate y'all. Thank you for closing out the week with us. Thank you, Donell. And again, if you would like to get with him, the micro scalp thing is pretty impressive that he is the only one in New Bern, North Carolina to do that, and 6 out of 7 in the entire state. So he's the Elite Barber Studio CEO. He is also the Craven County Community College Barbering leader there, the director of that barbering program. He's also a certified hair loss expert, the owner of Elite Scalp Micro Studio. And y'all really should probe Greg to let us go there and do a live broadcast where Dino shows me how to cut hair. I mean, I know how to shave my hair off. That's what I do. But to put Greg in the chair and let me give him, a high top fade. So can y'all flood Greg with some messages and tell him we need to do that? What a way to promote elite barbering is for two guys to get together and show how it's done. Take a novice and make Greg look smooth like Billy D. Williams. Oh, man. I hadn't told that Billy D. Williams story ever in my life about the Dark and Lovely kit. All right, that's it. We will be tomorrow at the Gate in Kinston. I need you to, if you're anywhere within the surrounding areas and you're a young person or you know young people, you need to get there. I've got a message that we are going to deliver that is going to set the course, not just for their back to school day, but for their back to school year. I have been holding on to this message since 2021, and God has released me to deliver it. It will be one of the most epic moments, I believe, in my life because I know the consequence of this message. So if you can get to Kinston, it's the Gate in Lenoir County. I would love for you to be there. And then at the end of the month, God told me he wanted me to do it twice. So we'll be at the Biblical House of God on the 25th for a youth revival there. And then you can find me this Saturday at the Cedar Point Market doing a book signing. We're looking forward to being out there in 90-degree temperatures. I will have popsicles wrapped around my forehead. Time frame for the Gate is 6:30. They feed the kids. They feed all of them. 6 o'clock. And then we should be somewhere around 6:30, 7 o'clock speaking, okay? That's the Gate in Kinston, North Carolina. Love and appreciate you. Thank you, Greg, for everything. Thank you, Reginald Midget, for the amazing music. Thank you, Donell Bryant, for really ministering to all of us tonight. God bless you. We'll talk to you next week.